so we just went over analog media. Now we're going to jump into what we're calling digital media. So digital media definitely uses electricity and definitely uses computers or digitalization. So rather than analog cable TV or landline phones, now we're talking about things that are computerized. And I have this further broken down into offline digital media and online digital media. It might be hard to think about today because when I go on my personal smartphone or I go on my laptop, I'm rarely using things offline. I feel like I'm always online. But it didn't start off that way. When we first started using digital media, it was largely an offline adventure. Now again, you don't need to know any dates. These are just as landmarkers for your own personal interest. But we know that the first IBM personal computer was launched in 1981 and the first laptop was in 1989. I'm born in 83 and I definitely was born in a world without laptops. I think I saw my first laptop in the year 2000, so it came a lot later for me. Now, although CDs were invented in the 1982, I didn't see CDs till about 1995. But what's happening here is now we have home desktop computers with really basic word processors, or we can have little print programs. They were pretty rudimentary. I also saw in the late 1970s and the mid 1990s the advent of home video game systems through Atari and Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and PlayStation. We started to see these home video things. We had arcades before now, but this was becoming much more consumable at home. Now, eventually throughout the 90s, we started to not use audio cassettes. CDs started to replace them. We stopped using VHS as much, and DVDs started to be released starting in 1997, picking up steam a couple years later. We also saw cell phones become digitalized. Though they were not yet smartphones, we definitely saw more digital-like cell phones around the year 2000. And just to really geek out about this, we got to move from the audio cassettes where we had the Walkman and the headphones, and we can move from a Walkman to what's known as a Discman. There's a picture of it in the lower right. And this was a portable music player that you could put a CD into. And rather than having to only listen to 5 or 6 tracks and then flipping the side, or waiting for the cassette to rewind and possibly getting the tape all jumbled up, you could use a digital CD player to listen to 12 tracks at once. You could make a track repeat. You could have instant playback. I remember being 16 and thinking this was so cool. Of course, a couple years later, that became obsolete as then we started to listen to MP3 players, which you could load with digital files. Now, they were not connected to the internet, so they didn't have infinite music libraries, but I do recall my Sony music player that had, I think, 2,000 music files on it. I thought that was just amazing, but I didn't even have that until graduate school. I remember using Encarta 95. It was a CD-ROM game in 1995 that had an entire encyclopedia on one CD-ROM. I remember feeling like, wow, this is going to make an encyclopedia set obsolete. Little did I know that Wikipedia would be on the horizon when we moved from offline to online media. So online media started in certain areas at different rates. We know that originally, first email started in 1970. The World Wide Web was actually invented in 1991. And there was even things like our first online meme known as the Dancing Baby meme in 1993. But it didn't really become widespread until a little bit after that. Personally, I first saw the internet with Netscape Explorer in 1994, and the next year Internet Explorer was invented. The Dancing Baby meme did become very popular on a show called Ally McBeal, I think in 1996 or so, somewhere around that ballpark. And then when the internet really first started, people started using chat rooms, and they're really basic rudimentary chat rooms hosted by AOL or the like. One of the more popular chat rooms to emerge in the mid-90s was called ICQ. It was meant to sound like ICQ, and it had a little green flower logo. And this had the ability to hit a random button, and you'd be assigned a random chat partner. There was no videos and no pictures allowed, so it was not lending itself as much to pornography as later things like chat roulette. But this became very popular. People would sit and chat on ICQ. You'd have to exchange a long serial number to find offline people that you actually knew, and it became a very popular chat function. Google search engine started around the late 90s as well, and LiveJournal. This was a type of blogging where someone would talk and vent about their days. It was very popular when I was an undergrad. Never used it myself, but it was the idea that you would kind of discuss all your feelings and let other people read your diary and comment on it. Then MSN Messenger launched. This was a way to have instant message with your email contacts. And gaming started to be online, with the PlayStation 2 offering an online experience. We started sharing files like music files over Napster, which quickly then got shut down due to lawsuits. And then there was the launch of massive multiplayer online role-playing games, MMORPGs, one of the largest known as World of Warcraft, launching in the year 2004. Hard to believe it was that long ago.